Hello. So I had to remind myself, you got to get back to it. I won't say remind myself, I've known this. It's push myself. And I know I come and go. We all do. It's just we don't all make videos and come and go that way. Sometimes we don't call people back. Sometimes we don't stick to the plans we made. Sometimes we just sit in our rooms or in our house and what is this whole life supposed to mean? We get to a point where it's like there's all these fake facades on social media. And I saw something yesterday. It was this, like a little short, and it said, me every time I hear, let's take a moment for men's mental health. And it shows a woman just making a lot of noise and drinking her drink and dancing around. And this guy pops on and says, do better. That's not cool. This is why people shut down. And it made me think about the things we don't talk about, like our commonalities of really how we all feel inside because we live in the same world. Unless you live in your own little reality of life is perfect, and some people might feel that way. I guess if you stay sedated and you don't look around and you don't notice other individuals. But for the most part, people feel undervalued, overworked. They don't feel like there's a purpose to any of this. I remember as a kid, there was like that moment of awe and discovery. I had a little something in it. Then you get older and you get a little speck in your eye and you're like, I can't see it clearly. It's just like I let the dog out earlier, and she's a little up in age, and she's got cataracts in one eye, can't see at all. And there was a plastic bag in the yard, and she just went to barking because she couldn't see it clearly. She just thought it's something I need to protect everybody from. And I kind of feel like in life, that's what social media does for us. It disconnects from the reality that there's really all these burdens that we all carry, and nobody wants to hear about them, is what we tell ourselves. Nobody cares. It's, I don't want to look weak, or I don't want people to judge me. But in reality, if we would put it out there, that we feel constricted, we feel like we can't push forward, but we have no choice. It's at that verge of exhaustion and not always having a support group that is needed. And the sad part of everything is when you're down, people want to stick around and they want to look at you and be like, I knew I was doing better than you. And then when you're up, they don't necessarily want to be around because now they feel inferior to you. And that's not even a game that you're playing. Most of us are just trying to make it through every single day, maintain that mental health, be able to say, okay, I can do it another day. I can do this again. Oh, I just got to work till the weekend. And some people don't have that luxury of the weekend. I had a job where the weekend was my main work days. And it was like, wow, if I could just get a weekend like everybody else, then I could enjoy myself. Because by the time I had time off, it was the middle of the week, and it's like, man, this is fun. I'm gonna do the thing while everyone's working and just sit here. And it's almost like missing out on life, and it's hard, but we have to remind ourselves that we have more in common than we believe. And it's okay to express these things, because by saying, I'm going through this, you'd be surprised. Somebody else could be like, I'm going through that too. And then you can actually help one another. When I was a freelance writer, I had to write certain articles depending on what the client wanted. And one of them was how to bring yourself out of a depression, or how to, you're going through a really hard time, how to make it easier for yourself. And it's to help others. It's to be there for others in their time of need. And a lot of that is to allow you to see, like, oh, you have troubles too. You're not alone. We all have to realize we're not alone. We function under the same rules and regulations. We have the same taxes. We have all these things that we're supposed to stick to, for a lack of a word. But at the same time, those are the things that don't motivate us, because everything's inflated in life at this point, and nothing monetarily has changed for the aspect of who's working. Now it has for those who are at the top, who are getting the gain, and we're all sadly the same rats in the same race. And it's hard to keep saying, okay, the darkness isn't going to consume me today, because a lot of times that's what's in our heads. The lack of feeling appreciated, the lack of compassion from other people, that there's more narcissists on the rise in this world, heartless individuals, self-serving individuals, opportunist people that don't want to feel that pain, because when you work to heal, you go through that pain, you endure the self-reflection, you understand, like, for me to get past this moment, I have to find my blockages. I have to find my barriers. What is holding me back from allowing myself that abundance to flow in? What is holding me back from the ability to feel loved? What is holding me back from being able to say, oh, whatever you said doesn't apply to me. I can listen to your opinion and understand how you feel about yourself, but you're not going to deflect or project the way you feel about yourself onto me. That's empowerment. And we have to get to that point to where we are back to feeling empowered, because, like I said, we have more commonalities than we have more differences, if that makes sense to anybody. Because if we told the truth on social media, if we didn't use the filters, if we didn't only show the good moments, then we would see that, wow, we all argue with each other from time to time. Wow, we all feel like we're not heard when we speak. We all feel like our opinion doesn't matter. We all want to quit that job and just live a life of happiness, abundance, and love and wealth, and experience nothing but the good times. But the reality is you can't. And I've said this many times, that life is like a heartbeat. You have to have the highs and the lows. If you didn't, you'd flatline. You would have no experiences. You wouldn't get to actually feel the emotions of the purpose of this body. That's what it's for, is to allow you as a spirit to go, I can embrace things around me. Because if you believe in ghosts, a spiritual form, it's something that isn't necessarily tangible. You can get a feeling from it, but you can't. That's us as humans. But as the spiritual aspect, you don't have those sensors. You don't have the capability to say, oh, that affected me this way. It's more so a way of existing. And we all have a spirit and a soul. It's just some people have let theirs dim down and almost die out. And that is because of the competition. That is the inability to say, I feel weak today. I feel like I can't go on today. And if you feel that way, I'm here to remind you, you can. You have. Think of all the things you thought you weren't going to make it through. And in the end, you're like, I don't know how I scraped by on that, but I made it. There's a little spider hanging out up here on my phone. It's just reminding me, hey, be cautious. That's for all of us. That the spider is a busy worker that weaves a web, but that's also what you can get ensnared in. You can get stuck in the web of lies that you try to partake in when you only want to say, my life is great. Yep. And a lot of that is people don't want others to realize, because karma is a thing. When your life was flying high and everything was great, and then all of a sudden you're like, you've triggered my ego. Now let me poke, 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 poke at you. Guess what you've done? You've brought in bad karma for yourself. We learn life lessons. I don't think a lot of people invest in realizing that life is a journey, that there are lessons to be learned, lessons about each other, lessons about ourselves, understanding where we can change things to make life better, not just for ourselves, but as a collective, because when everyone's thriving around you, you're thriving. When people are down and depressed, that energy is very prevalent, and it makes you kind of like, why do I feel so heavy? And we want to share more of the like, hey, let me find something good to talk about. And I had to remember today, I haven't laughed. I mean, I see little things that make me chuckle, or like, that was funny. But that big guttural laugh that you have good company, or even by yourself, that you can sit down and find the humor in life. I think we've all pushed that to the wayside, because it's, well, I don't want them to see a certain side of me. Because sadly, people believe that when you're loving, kind, happy, you're naive. You're weak. It's the opposite. To be those things in a world that refuses to talk about the sad times, the hard times, we're lying to ourselves. So at some point, we all got to get back to that moment where we can just be like, you know what? I deserve to have that free belly workout today. Because when you laugh deep inside, I remember being in those moments where I'm like, stop, it hurts. It hurts so bad. But it felt so good. That's the kind of pain we need to bring back. The pain that brings tears to your eye and cramps to your side, because you're like, oh, that was hilarious. But the best part is when you can do that about yourself, then all of a sudden the world can't affect you. That is a portion of armoring your spirit to say, you know what, I'm okay talking about the bad things. I'm okay not focusing on them, but sharing them to say, hey, you matter too. And a lot of my channel has been about trying to say, hey, you matter too. And I haven't said it in a long time, but you matter. You're lovable. You are capable. And you are more powerful than what you believe. And you have to give yourself the right to believe that. Because everything you think is the truth. It's your reality. However you spin it, like that little spider trying to hang out around me, reminding me, well, if you're going to spin a web, do it to kind of attract something that is fruitful for you, something that's going to lighten your heart, brighten your soul, and bring something better to the world, to help everybody go, I'm not alone, because we're all in this together. There's a ton of us walking around on this planet. So instead of avoiding glances, maybe just wave and smile at a complete stranger and see how you can pay it forward and change their day, and they can change somebody else's day, because we affect one another. Don't forget that. So I'm gonna leave it on that. Peace, love, and light.